Two brothers shook a man's hand, and that handshake built the biggest restaurant company the world has ever seen. That same handshake, depending on who you ask, cost those two brothers more than $600 million a year. Same handshake. And I'll be straight with you before we even start. I cannot tell you for certain which one it really was, and I don't think you'll be certain either by the time we're done. This is Ray Kroc and the McDonald brothers, and the whole thing comes down to one question people have been fighting about for 60 years. Did Ray Kroc steal McDonald's, or did he save it? Pick a side in your head right now, then give me a few minutes to talk you out of it. Twice. San Bernardino, California. Dick and Mac McDonald run a little drive-in, car hops, a big messy menu, same as everybody else back then. Then, in 1948, they do something that should be taught in every business class in the country. They shut the whole thing down for 3 months, and they rebuild it around one idea: speed. They gut the menu down to almost nothing. Burgers, fries, drinks. They lay the kitchen out like an assembly line. Every man, one job. Food in your hand in 30 seconds instead of 20 minutes. They drew the whole kitchen in chalk on a tennis court behind the house and moved imaginary workers around until it was perfect. They called it the Speedy Service System. And that, right there, is fast food. Not the burger, the system. These two invented the thing the entire world runs on now. Hold on to one word while we go: inventors. Because the man who ends up with the statue never once worked that kitchen. In walks Ray Kroc, 1954. He's 52 years old, and by any honest scorecard, he has not made it. He sells milkshake machines door to door. He's been grinding his entire life, one gadget to the next, nothing ever sticking. Then he notices something strange on his order sheet. One little stand out in California has bought 8 of his machines. 8. That is 40 milkshakes going at once. Nobody needs that. He flies out to stand in the parking lot and see it with his own eyes. And he watches that line move like a machine, and something fires in his head that never once fired in the brothers. He doesn't see a great little restaurant. He sees 1,000 of them. Now, the brothers had already tried a little franchising and hated it. Too many headaches, too many strangers with their name over the door. Kroc looks at the exact same operation and sees the whole country. He talks them into letting him be the man who takes it national. And this is the fault line the entire story cracks along, because these two men wanted two completely different things. The brothers wanted it good. Kroc wanted it everywhere. By 1961, Kroc is done sharing. He wants all of it, clean, his name on it. He tells the brothers to name their price, and they do. $2.7 million, $1 million to each brother, $700,000 for the taxes. Kroc doesn't have it, not close. He borrows every last dollar at brutal terms, mortgages his own house, nearly goes under to close it. Remember that part, it matters later. Then comes the piece that turned this into a legend, and it's the one piece nobody on earth can actually prove. The way the brothers' family tells it, on top of that $2.7 million, Kroc shook hands on a royalty, half of 1% of the company's sales, forever. Never written into the contract, because Kroc's money men supposedly warned him that a perpetual royalty on paper means no bank funds the deal. It lived and died on a handshake, in a room, with nobody who ever talked. Run the number on what that little 0.5% would be worth today. McDonald's does around $130 billion in sales a year. Half of 1% of that is over $600 million every single year. That is what a handshake nobody can prove would be worth right now. And that is the question that hangs over this whole story. Did it happen? Did Ray Kroc really look two men in the eye, take their hands, and then spend the rest of his life acting like he never did? Sit with that one. We come back to it, because it keeps going. The brothers held on to their original store, the very first one. But somewhere in all that paperwork, they had lost the rights to their own name. Kroc makes them scrape McDonald's off their own building. They have to rename it the Big M. Then Kroc opens a brand new McDonald's 1 block away and bleeds the Big M dry. 6 years later, it's shuttered, and the last cut is the quietest one. Kroc starts telling the world he founded McDonald's, points to his store in Illinois, and calls it number 1, the first one. Dick McDonald lived to hear it, his words. Suddenly, after we sold, my golly, he elevated himself to the founder. The two men who invented it got erased from their own story. You want a villain? You do not have to look hard. Now let me do the thing this whole series exists to do. Let me argue the other way, and not some limp, Well, some people say, I mean really put weight on it. Start with that question I told you to sit with. The handshake. Did it happen? The honest answer is, nobody knows. There is no paper, none. Kroc denied it to his grave. The only source it ever existed at all is the brothers' own family, telling it years after the fact. Now, personally, I lean toward believing them, but leaning is all any of us gets to do. And if you're going to brand a man a thief for the rest of history, you usually want more than a story told after everybody involved is gone. Then look hard at what the brothers actually asked for, $2.7 million. They picked that number themselves. Nobody forced their hand. And watch what this next thing does to whatever verdict you walked in with. Dick McDonald, decades later, was not bitter about the money, at all. His exact words, "I have no regrets. Yachts on the Riviera were never my style." He said the taxes were killing them, that if he'd held on, he'd have ended up in some skyscraper with 4 ulcers and 8 tax attorneys. They did not want the empire. They turned their backs on it on purpose. So who was left to build it? Because it sure wasn't going to be them. They refused to expand, refused the stress, wanted one perfect restaurant, not 14,000 of them. Take Kroc out of it, and there's no McDonald's on every corner on Earth. There's a very good burger stand in San Bernardino your grandkids never hear about. And the real money, the billions, didn't even come from burgers. A numbers man named Harry Sonneborn walked in and told Kroc the truth about his own company. "You're not in the burger business," he said. "You're in the real estate business." McDonald's started buying the land under every single store and renting it back to its own franchisees. That is the fortune. That was Kroc's bet and Sonneborn's, not the brothers. A broke 52-year-old bet his house on an idea 2 younger men had already decided wasn't worth the headache. Which is it then? Did he steal it or did he save it? I'll tell you where I land, and then I want you to come after me for it. I think Kroc crossed them. The name, the store a block away, calling himself the founder when 2 other men drew that kitchen in chalk on a tennis court, that part sits wrong in my gut. But I also don't believe there's a McDonald's without him. Both of those are true at the same time, and that is exactly what makes this one hard. 28 years on the job taught me something that fits here. On a crew, you learn quick that the loudest man in the room and the man who actually drags everybody out alive are not always the same guy. Sometimes the one grabbing all the credit is also the only one who kept his head when the whole thing was coming down. And sometimes he's just grabbing the credit. Telling those two apart, under pressure, with real lives on the line, is the hardest read there is. I called it wrong a few times over the years. I also went to bat for people everyone else had already written off and got it right. I'm not about to hand you a tidy verdict on Ray Kroc like it's obvious, because it is not. I'm going to do the other thing. I'm going to ask you. Ray Kroc, the thief who robbed 2 brothers of a fortune, or the only man who was ever going to build the thing they invented? There is a real answer in there for you. Put it in the comments and tell me why you landed where you did. This has been the Money Graveyard, where we dig up the fortunes that died so yours doesn't have to. And every once in a while, the ones where we still can't agree who did the burying.